Hello everyone, I'm back with a brand new video, and today we're going to be taking a look at some special issues of the WWE Magazine. I've been on a really big wrestling magazine kick lately, just reading a lot of back issues of stuff I've had for a while, as well as ordering a lot of magazines, some UK-based publications, a lot of Japanese magazines from the early 90s. So I'm just really in a wrestling magazine mode right now, for better choice of terms. And going back through my collection of WWE magazines, these issues really stood out to me. I have a couple right here. This is a special edition Shawn Michaels magazine. We have one about Rey Mysterio, and then one on the Undertaker. And these magazines were really unique back in the day when I was really collecting magazines, buying them on a regular basis, 20 plus years ago. And these issues always stood out because they were few and far between. You always had your, on the newsstands in the grocery store, you had your WWE magazine. Sometimes, of course, back WCW magazine, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and their family of magazines, and a couple of others. But then you would have these special edition magazines devoted to a particular superstar. And these were, of course, only reserved for the biggest names. The first one that I can recall was a Steve Austin edition magazine. I actually used to have that one, which came out, I believe, in 1999, and it was one of the first that was the first that I can recall seeing a special edition magazine, WWE magazine, dedicated solely to one wrestler. Later on, you had, I believe I remember seeing they had one about Owen Hart, I believe, that came out after his passing. I never saw that in person, but I've seen pictures of it online. There was, I believe, a Brian Pillman magazine, perhaps. I've seen something of that, but I don't know if that was just a regular issue of WWE magazine with Pillman on the cover. But these are the ones that I really remember right here. And I'm sure they had one about The Rock, I'm certain. They also had one about Roddy Piper. I think they had a Roddy Piper edition after he passed away, if memory serves me correct. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, these issues were just always interesting, a full magazine dedicated to a particular wrestler. So we're just going to go through these, not really long. And one of these, actually, we'll start off with the Mysterio one, because I did a review on this a couple of years ago on this channel. Check it out if you have not done so. But this magazine just stands out to me so much because, one, Ray is one of my favorite wrestlers ever. And then this just cover is so sick, just with all of his different mask and really a fraction of his mask. This came out in 2005, The Many Faces of Rey Mysterio. And when I was flipping through it, this part really stood out to me. It was, well, a couple of things, but this page right here, there was a group or organization called Team Mysterio. And from what I gather, you see some pictures of some individuals down here, I guess staff members. And I just glanced over this briefly, but I guess they may have been, I don't know, I think they may have done his website, perhaps his fan site back in the day. Maybe they had some involvement in the magazine, and it reads that Team Mysterio helps bring Ray to the fans. And working behind the scenes help Ray reach his fans, and is Team Mysterio, which handles Ray's public relations and are the brains behind his website. Well, yes, RayMysterio.com. The team's headquarters are in Southern California, but they've recently expanded their reach, opening offices in the UK and Japan. So that was just interesting. I did not, I can't say I read every single page of this magazine since I had it, but that definitely stood out to me. I did not recall seeing that before. And even just the little, touches. This is, again, a full magazine devoted to Mysterio. You see the table of contents. And then I thought this was really unique. Back then, they, pretty much all the wrestling magazines, you had these advertisements from the Figures Toy Company, but this one is specifically geared towards Rey Mysterio merchandise. So just a nice little twist to just how they did it, just to really maximize the wrestler. And this is, this book is packed with great, lots of great photos from Ray's career throughout his career back in Mexico. ECW, WCW. This is a picture of Ray, when he was starting out very young, if you can see that properly. And the last thing I want to bring up, which I think is the best part about this, is an exclusive interview with his uncle, the original Rey Mysterio Sir Rey Mysterio Sr. I guess that's how you. And Rey Mysterio is different from a lot of other luchadors in that he his max, the Mysterio gimmick was not that of his father. Most luchadors, they carry on the gimmick that their fathers did, especially the max ones. So, for instance, El Santo, El Hijo del Santo, who was a father of, who was the son of the legendary El Santo, even in, also Dr. Wagner Jr. He is the son of the famous Dr. Wagner, and Dr. Wagner Jr.'s son is one of the biggest stars in AAA right now. So Lucha Libre is very family oriented, but a lot of people, you may just assume that, Rey Mysterio was his father, the original, but it was actually his uncle that bestowed the gimmick upon him. And this is just a very cool interview. And even the more so when you think of that Mysterio Sir Senior passed away, I believe, earlier this year. I think he passed away either earlier this year or about a year ago. So just really interesting to see that. And really just a great magazine to look through if you're a Mysterio fan. You can probably find this on eBay as I did. Definitely want to add to your collection if you're a Ray fan. Up next we have the Undertaker special edition magazine. The Undertaker, which came out in 2003. And this was actually still when he was doing his biker gimmick. This was a year before he went back to his dead man gimmick. And same thing, it's an exclusive magazine, dedicated to The Undertaker. You can have interviews, stories about various aspects of his career. This is a interesting, not interesting, but the picture right here is interesting because I believe this is Undertaker and... No, Undertaker, he had a part in the Suburban Commando movie that Hulk Hogan was in. But anyway, so I don't know, I thought that was Sting, but that didn't make sense. And again, just to see Undertaker, these are some scenes of Undertaker that you may not, used to seeing him with his dogs. That's him and his first wife, Sarah, who actually was a character on WWE TV briefly back in the early 2000s. And there's some other, he has some advertisement for the pay-per-views at that time. Survivor Series 02, First Elimination Chamber, some pictures of Undertaker's marriage and his wedding, and just pretty cool. And of course, vintage Taker and Paul Bearer from back in the day. So that's that. And last but not least, HBK, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. This one came out in 2005, and on the back of here, gaming, the world was so different. Look at this. It's an advertisement for a special WWE wireless GameCube controller, looks like. And same thing, just this book is filled with retrospectives of Shawn Michaels. You start off with the little kind of note letter from Shawn Michaels, if you can see this properly. And some of the things that stood out to me in this one are towards the end, where you just really get a look into Shawn Michaels outside the ring life, because this was a period where Michaels had only been back in WWE for about a good 2 years after his return, in I guess 2 or 3 years after his return in 2002. Michaels had retired in 1998, came back in 2002 to really start the second half of his career. And this part right here, what stood out to me? Yeah, this was really interesting. Because when Michaels did come back to WWE, he was, it was part of his gimmick, but he was a changed man. He had found religion, he had become a Christian, and he had definitely changed from the individual and performer that he was in the 90s. And it's just really cool just seeing these, pictures of Shawn, kind of just his home life in San Antonio, Texas. And of course, much younger, much more hair compared to, Michaels now, who Michaels is now the main guy in NXT. So and then some other pictures right here. This is some pictures of him with his at his church, the Bible, reading the word, and just some really just cool, cool stuff. Really some different side of Michaels. And of course discusses his, his memorable matches, things of that nature. This is actually from the Um, Somewhat at the time infamous Hell in a Cell match with Triple H from, I believe this is the Bad Blood 2004 pay per view. And what I remember about that match is that it was extremely long. I believe up to that point in time, it was one of the longer matches or pay per view matches in WWE history. And without question, it was the longest singles Hell in a Cell match in terms of length. I think the match went about over 40 minutes. And if you remember from that period from '02 to '04, Michaels and Triple H, they had a blood feud. And then here are some pictures for some of his other famous matches. You have the Iron Man match with Bret Hart, the ladder match against Razor from WrestleMania 10, and then the WrestleMania 14 match against Austin. So all WrestleMania classics. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. And here's an advertisement for the Tough Enough contest back then. So just a little throwback. So yeah, so I just thought these were just pretty cool. You know, it's always good to just kind of when I just go back to these magazines and transports me back to a different time. And again, just really have been on a magazine kick lately. So I may be sharing, actually I will be sharing a lot of my various publications by groups. I definitely want to hit up the Japanese magazines very soon because I've really just been getting into that lately. A lot of UK based publications, then just a lot of old WWE, WCW, even what's the magazine? Wow magazine. So I have a lot of those back issues from back in the day. So again, just kind of just thumping through these magazines in this season and just cool just to see, you know, just the changes in the business. And again, just always enjoyed these special edition WWE magazines from back in the day. And I believe that is it for this video. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. Again, I had a great one, just spending it with, you know, family and eating some great food. Got some great gifts. So again, just a good time just to have some time away from work and just to reconnect, and been pretty fun. So hope you all have enjoyed your holiday season. I hope you all have a great New Year's as well, as that's around the corner. And again, just take care of yourself, and I will talk to you again after a while. Peace.